What's up guys, it's Drac, and we just did a review on the Nerf Rival Roundhouse, which is an exciting new rival revolver. And not to be bested, Dart Zone sent over the Ballistic Ops Apex, which I've done a leak video on before. Very cool of them to just send care packages out, not just to me, but to a bunch of other influencers with their 2 new releases inside. And the Apex is a 5-round rotating barrel of a rival blaster. Now, I do just want to give a quick shout out to the person on the Roundhouse review who made the comment, this was a missed opportunity to call it the Revolver. And oof, that's such a good comment. I love comments like that. It was clever, it was well thought out, it was concise, it was fantastic. I wish that this was called the Revolver. I hope that somebody makes a Revolver. It's just a great name. Anyhow, this is the Apex. It says down here, auto advancing rotating cylinder, team competition battling. And then I assume that means that we'll be able to put the plates on to differentiate between blue, which is neutral, green, which is, I think, the one that's installed right now, and then there should be some red plates in here somewhere so that we can, of course, put it on the winning side. But this one's coming in at 10 United States dollars. I'm not entirely sure what this sticker means. This reminds me of like a Dollar General-esque sort of pricing label, so maybe it'll release like in a soft launch. I know that Dart Zone's done that before with a relatively unique retailer, and then it'll hit big box stores eventually. On the back, it just says Performance FPS, which a few of you guys have been astute enough, not unlike Pat and I, to realize Performance FPS doesn't always necessarily mean that. So we're going to put this over the chronograph. We're going to find out what Performance FPS is explicitly, because I want it to be on par. The Revolver or the Roundhouse hit 100 FPS, and we'll eventually do a versus video if you guys comment that you're interested in that, but I hope that it does relatively well, given that it is significantly less expensive. Trigger, what appears to be a grip built-in safety, 5-round rotating barrel. This is kind of interesting over here. It says push all the way to the end and then pull back to load. So everything else makes sense in this blaster, but push all the way back to the end is kind of funky. Does that mean that this is using effective barrel length instead of the very traditional rival setup of just like kind of teasing it into a taper and then popping it out that away? But let's go ahead and relinquish some of these Dart Zone rounds. It looks like they're giving you 8 rounds, which for a blaster that holds 5 shots is actually quite nice. I do want to point out the cylinder, and nobody to my knowledge has noticed this yet, the cylinder is transparent, which means that in theory you'll be able to see when and where it's loaded. It's also a little chunkier than I originally thought it would be. It's sort of snub-nosed, I guess, and in addition to being kind of snubby, it's also sort of a thick boy. I'm curious, both of my my blasters that have been sent, both this and the Storm Squad, have these sort of serial numbers printed on the side, which is kind of funky, kind of interesting. And not unlike that blaster, this is clearly designed with like budget-conscious people in mind. No paint on either side of the blaster, which I prefer to paint on only one side. And in exchange, some just really thoughtful molding. You've got roughly grippiness, I guess, and then cool sci-fi deco all the way around. Priming this guy back, it's actually a pretty stiff prime. And then firing, there is some sort of air restrictor in this guy. But auto-retracting that cylinder, and then this is in fact a safety. The trigger will not pull unless this is primed down. And there you are. So not a rev trigger, but not a rev trigger in that it has to be on to be open. So somewhere in here, there's got to be a red panel, right? No red panel. All right, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there is a chance that the lack of red panel is because this is an early sample. I'm relatively sure that if I came in here and popped these off, they are in fact a separate panel. So we'll go ahead and put it back in for now, but we're gonna need a team red panel for this guy. So let's bust out some balls, load them up. And this is why, of course, it says push all the way in, because they're not all the way in. You need to really, oh yeah, this is an effective barrel length. As you're pushing these in, you can really tell that there's some resistance in this barrel. There's it's a good barrel fit, particularly for a Springer. That's what it feels like. So prime, That's a good noise. I have hopes. Jinx thinks rival rounds are toys, so we're gonna scoop her up and take both her, the rival rounds, and the ballistic ops pistol outside. Let's go. Crikey. Jinx is in the back, searching for wild rival rounds. I don't know, it's just funny, she almost never goes behind that bush over there. Anyway, we're back out with the Apex, and I wanted to point out something that I noticed while I was loading it up to put it over yield chronograph, and that's that each one of these cylinders individually has its own kind of hop-up ramp and tab on the edge of it, and they're all kind of molded into this cap piece, which is not translucent. I just wanted to point it out because I thought that that was really interesting. That makes this a true, genuine revolver in the sense that it has multiple barrels which carry projectiles forward. To that end, the other ones have not, in the rival space, have not explicitly been revolvers, although they do revolve and give you all the fun feel-goods of that. Now, the prime is a little stiff, so I'm really hoping that this has good performance. Let's get some actual numbers. I'm assuming it fires from the top here. 86, 84, 89, 86, hey, it came back, and 90. So, looks like high 80s is more or less what you can expect from this blaster. Again, there is an actual old school AR down the barrel in there, and I think that that would be a very easy omission with the ability to get a little more pop out of this guy. And then there's, of course, some seal here. There's a foam gasket, I think, in between the two, and I'll do a mod guide for this one if you guys comment down below that you want it. The Dart Zone blasters are so affordable that it's really, really easy to justify cracking them open, painting them up, and making them something a little perhaps less structurally sound and higher performance overall, but a nice compact package. I do have to test one more thing. I tested it on the rival pistol from Hasbro, but we're gonna go ahead and double feed it here, and you can see there's 2 rounds now loaded in, and we can I don't want to put them over the chronograph. I just want to see what kind of spread I get shooting downrange this way. So it's not as great. You lose a little bit of range. Jinx, she's always trying to steal my rival rounds, or in this case, I guess my Dart Zone Ballistics Ops rounds. So let's load up a couple more. I might have enough for a full cylinder here, including some genuine rival ammo. Let's just kind of see how that fares as well. It's a little softer, a little less consistent than the Dart Zone stuff, but I haven't put them over a gram scale and formally tested the rival ammo options yet. I probably should at some point now that Zuru's in the space as well, but let's fire some downrange and just see, compared to your average Nerf blaster, particularly a Springer, we're about 10 FPS shy on this bad boy, but that's not the end of the world. Given the serious price advantage and the expense of the rounds, the fact that they're giving you extra, etc., and so forth, I can forgive 10 FPS, especially since I think that it'll be easy to get a little more juice out of the old Apex. So that's not bad. Overall, pretty pleased with this guy. Again, at 10 bucks, I think that it's tough to beat. That is a rival class pistol that certainly is performing as prescribed and seems to be functionally very solid. It's got a good build quality to it. I'm looking forward to changing out these team panels. Maybe I'll just paint them at this point, but overall not bad. It, of course, spins very, very easily on account of its ultra slick trigger well here. Good grip, very comfortable, nice place to rest your finger while you're using it. And while the prime might be just a little bit stiff and the safety might be just a little bit silly, I understand why both of those things are that way. And at 10 bucks, I think that this one is a home run. So I'll have full information down in the description box below for where you can pick up an Apex if you are so inclined. But thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this early review, this sneak peek, this first look at the Ballistic Ops Apex from Dart Zone, and it's pretty cool to see both of their takes on rival revolvers. We'll do a versus video in the near future. Much love, Nerf on Drac out!